recording. And so we're going to go over the web forms on the Drupal sites, how you guys can use them, what you can do with them. So this will kind of be a good overlay of everything. So firstly, can everybody hear me? We good?
Yep.
All right. So create a web form. We'll go to Structure, Web Forms, and you'll get the web form page. So there's some stuff up here we'll kind of go over here in a little bit. So right now you can see all the different web forms that you have available on the site. But we're just going to create a web form directly with nothing on it. Super simple. Add web form, give it a title. You can set the status right away. Typically when I'm doing this on a website, I'll leave it as closed just in case anybody happens to come across it. So when you create the web form, you have a couple of different options up here. The first one is build. So I typically will open this up in 3 different windows. So I'll have the view open, build, and eventually I'll have a window open for settings. So right now, there's a web form, nothing on it. And basically, we're just going to be adding components for the web form. So we'll click Add Element. These are all the different elements you can use on the web form. Bunch here, depending on your use case, is going to depend on which element you want to use. Start off super simple here. We're just going to use a text field. Give it a title. The key is going to be the title. I'm not sure how many characters this goes out to, but if it's too long, it'll cut off. Number of values. You give your element description here. Your help. And then there's a more title. These are all options you can add to your web form. How you want to display your title, the description display, help display. So let's say in the help text, we'll just say enter your first name and we can say after the element. The description, you can add it as a tooltip, make it invisible, before or after. Just these are all just minor little things. You can set minimum length, maximum length, the size. If there's placeholder. Input mask, we'll come to this here in a second. And form validation if you want to make it required. Click Save. Come back, check this here in the view. First name goes here. So here's the help. So, and basically we're just going to be adding fields for everything. So if we wanted the last name, make it required, again, I can come back in here and add the help or the tooltip. Normally, the other thing we want to capture is the email. So we can grab the email and we can do an email confirm. Depending on what your form is, just having a regular email is fine. But if you want them to enter your email and then confirm their email address, this is what the email confirm does. So I am just going to grab an email. This also allows us to send the customer back a confirmation email. And we're going to grab a phone number. And we're just going to use text field again for the phone number. There is a field specifically for the telephone. I don't like using it. So in the telephone, or in the phone, so we can add the field prefix. So if we want to put a little pound sign in here, we can. But we also have input masks. And there's one for telephone number, so it actually comes in a little bit more readable. So we got these 4 elements here. So the prefix automatically is added in, and this is the masking. This way, everything will come in uniform. It's going to come in a specific format. If you use the telephone field, it's a little different. And the other big thing that's typically normally added is going to be an address field. And that is a pre-built field. So we can go ahead and add the address in. And as you scroll through the address field, it's going to address to. So you can turn this on, turn it off. If you want to make this required, the required buttons here. City, no, state, province, postal code, and country. That's not needed. You can just turn that off. And again, the element descriptions are all here too. Click save and refresh the page. And it puts in the address block. This is typically the reason why I open these up in different windows. It just makes it easier to go back and forth to see what I've done and what I've added. So, depending on how big your page is, you can actually add a page. This way you can step the users through. So if we say add page, I'm not going to overthink this. It's going to say first page. So I can drag that up. Add all those fields to the first page. Let's say second page. And when you add these pages in, you can actually add an element directly to that page. So I'm going to say add elements. So we'll do a select field. We'll call this department. So you'll have the option value with the select field and then the text. And this is just going to be a drop down. If I wanted to add more, I could say, let's add 2 more options. And click save. So if I come back, refresh, first page, we can click the next, and we should get our department option. So again, now depending on the size of your form, how you want your users to go in there and fill it out, what they can do, what they can't do, that does help. Yeah, once you do that after a while, Kim, like you feel it's real quick to open up a bunch of different tabs. So looking back at the build, we can view it as elements or as the source. Some of you guys have some really big web forms. Sometimes it's easier to come in here and look at the source, especially if you want to copy and paste stuff instead of having to go through and redoing the same field multiple times. So let's grab these. For some reason, if I need to duplicate a field, so basically what it told me was the element keys were the same. And I probably should have. What line was that? I'll back that out. Yeah, basically it told me it was an error because the element keys are the same. That's how Drupal reads each field, so they got to be slightly different. Let's do. I'm going to get rid of these pages here. So we can just delete these out. Tell me that stuff's required. So we're back to this. Other thing you can do is the web form itself comes in a block. So if we say add content, I typically use basic page, but there is a web form page for this. So create a page for this. We go back into layout. And add the block. select web form. And that web form will go back into a page. I do this just so now I can add elements to this as I would any other page. Now I have a sidebar over here. If I wanted to, I can come into the layouts. Now, add blocks as needed, depending on what it calls for on that page on the website. And the other thing I don't like is we just go to view on the URL, it says /form, then the form name. I would rather have it where there's a page that's dedicated, a little bit easier to navigate too. So, adding the form elements is kind of the easiest part. Getting this to look the way you want it to, that kind of gets a little trickier. You can see here with the address block, there's a gap. And even though I have this inside of a page, it's got a 75% width here, it's still a little, to me, a little too wide. So what you can do, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this, is under the settings tab, and we'll go through a couple of these options here in a little bit, is CSS and JavaScript. So you can apply CSS directly to these web forms, and it only affects this web form. So if some of you guys were, around back on the old platform sites and we had CSS injector, kind of a little bit like that, and it's only applying to this web form. So how do we do this is super simple, and hopefully I explained this all correctly. So for each element, you'll have 4 options up here: the general, conditions. If you want to show and hide elements, you can make them visible and hidden. So if I wanted to, if you selected the department, depending on that selection, I can show an element, I can hide the element. We'll do that here in a little bit. Under advanced, it's going to be the wrapper attribute. So typically it would be custom. And I normally stick with Bootstrap. So call medium 4, click save. And I'm going to do this to the last name also. Custom, call medium 4. I'm going to do it for the email. And doing that does absolutely nothing. Even though the platform's built on Bootstrap, using the Bootstrap selectors, it doesn't work, but we have the custom CSS here. And so just drop it into CSS class. And those are actually applied to those three fields. So doing this will let you help you, set up the form how you want it to. It makes it a little bit easier for the users to kind of flow through the site, fill out this form. Same thing with the address block here. It has this weird gap. So if we inspect, we'll see there's some margins there, especially this top one. I just don't like the spacing of that. So little CSS, and it fixed that spacing. Do this. So we'll open up another web form here. Well, I had another one that I thought I was working on. So here, and this is everything that's turned on when the web form's created. Most of the stuff you guys can pretty much leave the same here. So underneath the form, you have open, closed. If you ever need to close the web form, you can come in here and close it real quick, especially if it's, the web form is only active for so long. I recommend going in and close it after it's, use state. That way nobody finds it by accident. Show the wizard progress bar. If you don't have any pages set up, you can turn it off. You have a submission counter, so if you want to set this to a different number when you launch it, you can. I always turn this show notification about previous submissions off. Mostly it's because I see it a lot. The end users typically don't see this. And then the confirmations. So basically, this is what happens after it's submitted. So it's, you get the page again. It just says, "Thank you for your submission." I like the modal. This will just pops up a dialog box, And I gave you guys an example of that. So if you're on the agency platform site and you want to sign up for this, you click submit. It reloads back to the home page and you get a nice little message. So that's what the modal will do. So you'll get the page, and then what would you like the confirmation message to be? You're kind of going through a lot of this kind of quickly. Emails and handlers. So once it's submitted, you want to be able to send confirmation somewhere. You can add an email handler. Give it a title and where you want to send this to. You can say to a custom email address. If you want to CC anybody on this, you can. You can send this to multiple addresses, just comma separate them. Same thing with the CC and the blind. Where you want to send this email from. This is the important part. So we can pick an element. You never want to have it sent from the submitter's email. So, and I'm going to explain this why. All the emails go through SendGrid. So if you say send from email, and the user has a Yahoo email address or a Hotmail or a Microsoft email, those emails will not be sent. SendGrid cannot verify those emails, so they're never actually sent out. When we look at the report on the website, it says email was sent, but we go into SendGrid all the time and check. Those emails are not sent out. So the from email should never be the submitter's email address. Could be, the site email. If your agency has a do not reply email address, that will work. Oh. Or an actual email that you don't mind getting stuff replied to. But never make it the submitter's email address. So it's from the site name. The reply to, this can be the email from the submission. So let's say if this is like a legit form, it gets submitted. I'm going to receive it. It's going to come from the digital.gov email address, but my reply to can be the submitter's email. And then the message. So we get the subject line. By default, it says web form submission from, and it's going to be the title of the web form. We can change this to a custom subject. The body comes in by default. You can do custom body, little bug in the web form. And you can look at the tokens. Again, by default, there's going to be the email header, email footer, submission values. No, when was this submission created? And who was this by? So these are all kind of defaults. submitted by is always going to come back as anonymous user unless they actually log into the website. So that can be removed. So included email value markup. So this is everything that's on the web form and they're all checked off. So you can turn things on and off for the email if you don't need to see them. No, else you can browse available tokens. There's more additional information there if you guys are used to looking at the tokens. You can customize this a bit. Attachments, that's a little bit more involved sometimes, so I'm not going to worry about that. So we'll save this. And this will be my email handler. The cool thing, so we do have a select option on that web form right here. So, but let's say I want this email to go to whoever based off of this. So if they pick, Department 4, it's supposed to go one place. Department 1 goes, to another person. So if we select that field for our to email, we can add in additional email for each department. So it's going to do the conditional automatically for you. Oh, I'm not following your question, Kimberly.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I'm not really following your question there.
So you know how there's this custom subject, and it has the selection for default. I was wondering if I can create another default, because I often choose custom, but it's really just some tokens that I use throughout web forms that includes the ID and the name and the title of the web.
For the subject line?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to do that for each one. I did the same thing where I just put the tokens in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, so if anybody want to know, for the token, first name, I'll do so I'll do like the name of the web form.
Yeah, I usually just put title.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just didn't know
title.
there was a setting that I can create to make a second default.
If there is, I haven't found it yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and for everybody else, that's what the tokens are going to look like. It's going to be the web form submission values : then the name of the field. That is not important. So, so let me pull up another site here with actual other web forms that are live on them, just to have a better idea on some of these other fields we got going on. So back on the web form page, there's a web form submission counter. Open this up in a new window. So what this does is counts the submissions from each web form on the site. Depending if you guys want to get numbers and like know how many times, how many submissions did we get from a web form. So you can select which web form, and you can pick a start and stop date. This is the demo board's website. So we'll look at it from the month of May, and we can actually just pull up the numbers for that month for each active web form. So that way you know how much is getting used. You don't actually have to go back and try to guess or count. You also have an export button. And that was not the one I wanted. Yeah, and I just spaced out where it was, where you can actually download all the submissions.
You say you're looking for where you can download the submissions?
Yeah, I just spaced it out.
It's in, let's see. I'm in a power user, so my access is denied, but I think it's in system. Did you find it? Oh, there you go. You got it.
Sorry about that. I was still muted. So yeah, let's go back through here. We added a description here based off of the select field. And I put the conditional on that field that you want to show or hide. So we said visible. We select the select option, which is department. And the value is 1. And so that'll allow us to show that option. The other field that used a lot, or can be used a lot, is a document field. So if someone has to add a document, we'll say document file. So these will go to private files on the site automatically. No, again, file placeholder descriptions. You can set the maximum file size. I'll typically set these to 10. And then the allowed file extensions. And normally with this, I can send that to a PDF or just a document. Again, all the same options are here. And this will allow the user to come in here, choose a file, and allows them to upload a document. So, I mean, this is kind of a quick overview for the web form. Not overly complicated. A little bit of practice, a little bit of CSS, and you guys can kind of get this to make it look the way you want to. The biggest thing I see with the web forms is making sure that this from email is not the user submission email. That's the biggest thing I've seen with web forms so far when people have made them. So, I mean, that was quick to go through a lot of stuff. I mean, does anybody have any questions? Any more questions? Is it secure to allow the public to attach files? Yes, it is secure. We do have antiviruses and stuff running on the websites. That's why I do like to restrict to what type of files the public can upload. So for a document file, I typically only allow PDF and a Word doc, if that. Most of the time, I would prefer a PDF. Let's see. I mean, there's a couple other options down here. The other one I use, never had to use audio file, image file. If depend on, if they have to submit pictures for something, then I'll just use an actual image file itself. And again, I'll restrict that down. So it comes in with those 4 options. Now, I'll leave this at 10 megs. But as of yet, we've had no issues with anything with security about that. Yeah, so Danielle did say nothing with PII. Highly recommend. The biggest thing is social security numbers. We really do not want to take a social security number. And to give you guys an idea, we'll do text field. Let's do this. In the math for a text field is a social security number. And under access, under advanced, encrypt this field's value. We can encrypt it. The problem is decrypting it. It takes extra work to get to decrypt this. So under what we want is not to take like a social security number or anything else like that. No, last four of social would be fine, but we definitely don't want the whole social security number. All right, so Laura asks, do all forms get emailed? They can be. And can we have the results dropped into a spreadsheet? Can't have them dropped into a spreadsheet, but you can export all the results into a spreadsheet. And that's the part I blinked on where that option was.
Ralph, can I ask a question about email attachments?
Yes.
I have a couple forms where users are uploading PDFs and other documents, and then those are sent out to the teams that need to download those forms. There's a bit of an issue with those arriving as links that folks can't open rather than attachments. Do you have any idea what might be causing that?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can just flip this over and say include files as attachments.
Yeah.
And technically that should work.
Okay.
A lot of times what I'll do is in the email, there is a token to view the submission.
View submission. Okay.
I don't want to go to a live website and do this just because I never know what's on that stuff. Even though I do work with a lot of agencies and setting their stuff up, typically the information that's submitted is something I don't want to see. Oh, here we go. So for each web form, you can actually view the results. And a lot of times I'll put a token in for that so you can go back in here. Now, view this. And that way, if there is something they've had to upload, that they have to go up here and grab it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, send me a message and I can go and take a look and see what's going on.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great training.
So, but yeah, just so you guys know, you can view all the submissions for the websites for each web form. So underneath web form, there's a results tab. Hey, that's where the download is. So for every submission, you can see what's going on. And then if you want to get results into a spreadsheet, you can download this. Put it into a CSV. If you want to, you can download attachments also. I've never tried that, so if it breaks, sorry. And you can just download this whole, all the submissions. If anybody was catching, this is actually for signature development. You'll notice in this, there is a signature block. I'm going to tell you guys this, but do not do this. So there is a signature element. Where they can come in and sign. We do have this running on several websites. The reason why I'm telling you guys not to use this is there's additional steps that need to take place for this to be implemented on a website. We got this approved by the Attorney General's office. We do have to confirm something with a submission. So if you guys are used to Adobe Sign or DocuSign, you'll notice that they put in place when they sign to submit that they have to confirm their email address. And that's the same thing that we do. So it's a couple of modules that have to be installed and put in place. Basically, they fill out the form, they submit it, we send them an email back to their email address to confirm their email. That's the only way we got to confirm something. And once they confirm it, then their submission goes through. So the signature field is there. Just don't use it yet. I think we're still in the process of adding the final touch, and then that'll be a whole nother thing itself. But any other questions? Again, I know there was a lot of any other questions? Sorry, I'm just now seeing everything chat. No other questions? So, yeah, I know it was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, people. But if you guys run into problems, if you guys need help getting things set up, working through things, let us know. We can work with you. No.
Thanks for the training, Ralph.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get the recording here up on the YouTube channel and probably onto the website also. But yeah, so it should be done here by the end of the day. All right, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep. And again, if you guys have questions, just let us know.